the big thing is that Netflix has previously had nominations before in a number of categories. So the fact they're nominated is nothing new. The really big thing here is the fact that obviously they're in the coveted Best Picture category. Now, Roma we knew was going to be nominated in a number of categories, but it's also nominated in two major film categories, because not only is it in Best Picture, it's also in Best Foreign Language Film. And I think that's actually a first in the Oscars ever. So it really is a big deal. But also, there's been a lot of controversy in the industry over whether Netflix is actually a legitimate movie source, because it's not where people pay to see movies. It's not the movie theatre. How do people make money out of this? Because they don't have to go to a movie theatre to buy a ticket. So this is really something of a breakwater moment, especially when we've seen festivals like Cannes sort of poo-pooing Netflix over the last couple of years and not treating them, like the big boys. But this proves that they very much are the big boys with capital Bs.
Yeah, absolutely. Cuarón's film was out in May at the last Cannes Film Festival and was struggling there to make itself accepted at Cannes. Given that we talked about foreign language films, it has been a great year for foreign language films. I mean, Roma and Cold War, Pavel Pawlikowski's film, have kind of broken through and out of the best foreign language film categories, haven't they?
Well, they have, and a big reason for this is the fact that Cold War also was another movie that played in movie theatres, but Roma is on Netflix. Now, if you're a little bit concerned about exploring foreign cinema, you haven't really done that kind of thing before, if you can do that in the privacy of your own home, you don't feel like you've got to be all fancy pants and sit with the hoi polloi in a movie theatre. It's a lot more accessible. So you have a lot of people who perhaps haven't dipped their toe in foreign language movies before who are exploring it for the first time, and that in itself is a really big deal.
With films like Black Panther, Green Book, Black Klansman in the running, you could say this is quite a diverse lineup. Those are all films that deal with black identity, particularly in the United States. But that sort of trend seems to peter out when we look at the Best Actor and Best Actress category, doesn't it?
It does, but I mean, obviously there is a milestone there in itself by the fact that Black Panther is not only the first superhero movie, but it's the first Marvel movie to be nominated or even really considered to be sort of Best Picture quality cinema. A couple of years ago, there was a rumble that Wonder Woman might happen, but that didn't really get a Best Picture nomination, unfortunately. So, yeah, there's lots of things here. There's lots of diversity in Hollywood. One thing that people have criticised, though, is the fact that we haven't got a lot of female directors this year. A lot of women nominated in other categories, but when it comes to director and the best movies, they're not movies that are made by women. But there's also the school of thought that says you can't just nominate women for awards because they're women. You have to give them an even playing field. But if you just nominate women because they've made a movie, it kind of takes away from it. It's almost tokenism. And that, whether it's to do with women or to do with sort of black directors, it actually does as much harm as it does more than it does any good.
Much better to increase the number of female directors lower down the food chain. Very, very briefly, in a word, I'd love to have your prediction for Best Movie and maybe Actor and Actress if you've got one.
I mean, personally, I know it's controversial, but I would love to see A Star Is Born actually take Best Movie, because I know it's taken a lot of flack, but I really love that movie. I think Olivia Colman's going to get it, but I do have a soft spot for Lady Gaga. But to be honest with you, it's such an open field this year. It's kind of a weird one. I think there's a lot of people saying that that Green Book is going to take it. I'm not so sure about that, but that's another movie that I loved. It really is one of those difficult years to call.